Repair and prevent. Don't repair and repent. Author unknown.
Today we're going to replace the manual head with an electric head. That way we'll have an electric switch right about here where we can press it and then have the toilet flush itself instead of manually doing the pump every time. First step in that is going to be to remove the manual head, and we'll go through that process now. I will be replacing all of the hoses as well. They have been in the boat since it was made, and hoses usually go bad after about 10 years. You can tell your hose is bad if you take a hot cloth on it, and then after you remove it, you could smell the stuff that goes in the toilet a little bit easier because the heat brings that out. So if you can do that with your hoses, it might be time to replace them before they burst on you and then have stuff going everywhere. But I'm going to go ahead and replace ours today before that happens.
You can see here I'm going ahead and removing all those old hoses. Remove the hose clamps and then remove the hoses from the head. We'll leave it in there and then we will actually replace the hoses once I get the head out.
Alright, now let's remove the head. And you can see it all comes out pretty good. The water that's usually in there is stuck in between here, so you don't have to worry about spilling too much of that if you have anything left in your bowl. Now you can see the head is removed, the access to the vented loop is open, and that's what the head area looks like without a head in it. And another thing I'll be doing today is cleaning out the vented loop. The idea behind the vented loop is that it allows water to enter the system, but it prevents siphoning of water when the system is not in use. This is why they are positioned above the water line, even when you're healing. Cleaning them out is pretty simple. You just pull it off the hull and then clean out the valve that's in the top.
Like I said, we left the old hoses in and just removed the head. Now I'm going through and using electrical tape to connect the new hose to the old hose. Then we try to run it through like we would run wiring. Just making sure not to pull too hard so you don't pull the tape apart and then have a hose halfway through the system.
This panel took me a little while to get off. What you have to do is unscrew the fasteners on the starboard side, and then you slide the panel up and then back down and out, and that way it allows you to get access to all of this. I just finished reinstalling the discharge hose from the head to the tank. I don't have the hose clamps on yet, but from this view with the hatches open in the back, you can actually see the tank pretty well, and you can see all the good stuff inside. From here on the Hunter 326, you can also see the fuel tank too. You can go through that and you can see how full my tank is just by looking through it, and all the other wiring that goes along with it.
In order to put the push button in for the electric head, I used a spade tip drill bit to open up the hole. When I went through to install the actual push button, it still needed to be widened a little bit. I used the Dremel tool and sanded out the hole to make it a little bit larger before putting the threaded cap on to the push button.
Another project you have to do when replacing the head is fill in the old holes where the old toilet was bolted down. Obviously every manufacturer doesn't make their holes standard, so you have to do that. What I'm going to use today is 3M5200, and we're going to fill in the holes. I was able to reuse one hole. I'm going to reuse this one to mount it, the new toilet, so all I have to do is fill in the other three. So we'll fill in the holes and then I'll scrape off the excess. Try to get a little bit down there in the hole to actually seal off some of that.
Once the 3 holes were filled in, I did have to drill new starter holes for the bolts to hold down the new head.
Alright, now we'll clean that up, get ready for the install. Now we have our electrical head all installed. You can see it here, mounted where the old one was. We also replaced all of the hoses going back to the holding tank to ensure we have no leaks going forward. We had to install electrical wire that runs from the head to the push button and back to the circuit breaker panel. Here you can see the push button for our new head. We just press this and hold for 4 to 5 seconds, and the toilet flushes all of the waste to the holding tank and then starts refilling with new seawater. And we'll demonstrate that now.
And you see the extra bubbles because that will be the soft scrub.
Enjoyed today's video, and hopefully you can have an electrical head on your boat soon.